Okay, good afternoon, good evening. So Pavel set the bar as for the amusement presentation quite high. I'm afraid I will be more bureaucratic, presenting my job and my career. So my name is Viktor Dvořák, I'm from Brno, and currently I serve here in New York as a Czech secondary diplomat in the Czech national expert in the diplomatic corps of the European Union to represent the interests of the European Union as a supranational entity within the United Nations. So I said it very briefly. My colleagues, people from the diplomatic corps, understand what I wanted to say by that. But for you, probably I need to do some overview. What does it mean? What kind of diplomacy I'm representing here? And so to present my work and career, let's speak first very briefly what diplomacy is, what diplomats are doing. So I tried to find some definition of diplomacy. Of course, if you Google around, you can find many of them. So this is one I choose. You may read it. I will skip it. You will see it later in the presentation. But now, what are the main types of diplomacy which we distinguish? I will do some simplification. I beg colleagues for indulgence if I'm not 100% correct, but for laïcs, for layperson, I think it will be sufficient. So types of diplomacy, we see consular, bilateral, multilateral, and track 2. As for the consular diplomacy, that is mainly assisting individuals, issuing passports, visa, emergency assistance, helping with bureaucratic tasks, with international overlap. Also, consulates are involved in promotion of trade and investments, cultural promotion of the culture of the country of their origin. I hope that one day Arnoš Kareš will be invited to this spot to present his work on this domain. I will not steal his job here. So I skipped the second type of diplomacy, which probably most of you know. That's the most known version, is the bilateral diplomacy, which is a diplomacy that establishes direct bilateral linkages between two countries, and it varies from top meetings at the level of head of states to the bottom where the basic treaties and agreements are adjusting the mutual relations of the countries. And now this is the diplomacy, multilateral diplomacy. That's my domain. That's a type of diplomacy with direct contacts within a group of countries on particular topics. This diplomacy is realized mainly through international organizations, but also through international conferences and ad hoc meetings. And the task of the diplomats resolve, usually the international organizations are focused on specific domains, like NATO is on security, WHO on health, etc. To be complete, I will also very briefly mention also track 2 diplomacy, which is a diplomacy that, well, it's not 100% correct, but it involves non-state actors and helps to promote behind the curtains relations between entities which cannot present publicly that they are speaking with each other. So now, something about me. So I am graduated in University of Economics in Prague and law faculty in Charles University in Prague as well. And having experience in international relations from the University of Economics and studying international law at the Faculty of Law, I wanted to merge those subjects, and diplomacy career at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs seemed to me like a good spot where to start. And immediately starting my diplomatic career in 1999, I fell in love with multilateral diplomacy. I started to work in the Security Policy Department only a few months before we became the member of NATO. Czech Republic became a member of NATO. And also my first internship was in NATO, and also that's why as a junior diplomat I choose my first posting to NATO, to Brussels, to the Czech delegation. Then My other posting was in Vienna, in the Permanent Mission to OSCE. OSCE, maybe I'll decrypt, it's an Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And, well, in years 2013-14, when after the presidential and parliamentary elections, when the Czech foreign policy became slightly questionable, I grabbed the opportunity to change the jersey and move for a limited period of time into the diplomatic corps of the European Union to work as a European Union diplomat, not as a Czech diplomat. And so that's why since 2017 you can see me here and there in New York. And you will see me till this summer when I'm supposed to terminate my position here. Well, so what we are doing in what the European Union in the United Nations does. So European Union is not a member state. European Union is representing its member states, and it has so-called enhanced observer status in the European Union, and it's represented by European External Action Service, which is something like Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the European Union. In abbreviation EAS, it was created by Lisbon Treaty, and filled by the national diplomats. It is a mixture of foreign and defense ministry, and its tasks is to coordinate, unify, and present the EU positions in the United Nations. So that's what I said, we are coordinating, and why I love this job is because it's like multilateral square. Because it's multilateral with a multilateral. First of all, we deal in the smaller group of countries as the European Union representatives, and we have to coordinate and unify the positions of our member states, and then to promote these positions in the wider group of countries, first with like-minded and with countries where we hope could support our positions, and then inside the whole United Nations. We chair the meetings, we lead bilateral and multilateral negotiations, we outreach, report. And the European Union Delegation to United Nations here has those sections: coordination, political, human rights, legal, horizontal issues, etc., etc. I work in the political section, which is, of course, the most interesting, most dynamic, and the most political one, I would say. We observe developments on a regional task in the Security Council, in General Assembly. We deal with issues of disarmament and non-proliferation. And as you see, my responsibilities are some regional files and disarmament and responsibility. And that's it. Thank you.